Hey, what's up guys? It's Mars here, and welcome to a little chat I'll be having. It's about backwards compatibility and gaming mostly, and hopefully that'll be of some interest to you guys. And the reason I'm talking about this, it's a bit late. I wasn't around or ready for the announcement because of all the renovations and everything going on, but Microsoft did say they would do backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. About 300 titles, I think. I don't have all my information. It's been a while since I've heard the news, but I finally wanted to talk about it because I have kind of my new setup and everything, so everything's good, and I'm just geared up for pumping out videos when I can, so I figured I'd talk about it. What I like about that is that it sounds maybe like it's going to be a digital thing, like you would put your disc in and it would download it wouldn't read your disc, it would just download like a copy of the game. If that's the case, I'm cool with that. The only problem is obviously you won't want to put like all your games on the storage and get the storage like completely full. But it's really good for me in the sense that a lot of like AAA games I've saved, a lot of games I haven't even played yet, and it's a big motivation to buy the Xbox One because that, like, you know, obviously it's going to be a bunch of AAA games that are backwards compatible. The titles that you may have not heard a lot about aren't necessarily going to be there. It's going to be a lot of Microsoft games, like first-party games and stuff like that. So that does make me happy. It's given me the push and decision that yes, it is Xbox One. For you guys who have been around my channel for a while and have talked to me like in my streams and stuff like that, you guys know that I said I would wait about a year or so to buy one of the new consoles. The reason being is I saw a lot of broken promises like within the first couple months, like the whole live streaming thing on the console, like straight from console and everything. That was the thing that was like completely broken. You saw a lot of minor issues, whether it be like, you know, the voice chat stuff and updates needing to, you know, to keep being up there, and all the stuff with the Kinect just was seemed like a little bit messy in the beginning, but things seem to have kind of cleaned out now. Like I said, been over a year, and they announced the thing that really I felt they needed to do from the start, which is backwards compatibility. I hope Sony does that as well. Like, I would really like to have both consoles do that because I think it's more fair and it's more competitive as well for both, you know, Sony and Microsoft to be doing the same thing more or less with their exclusives. You know, Sony's going to have their Uncharted series, and Microsoft is going to have their Halo or Gears of War or whatever, and that's going to happen. God of War for Sony as well, which I love, and I get to miss out on some titles by not only having one console, but I can kind of live with that when you give me all these advantages of continuing to, you know, go with Microsoft, and backwards compatibility was one of those big things. And now that they've announced it, I'm totally behind on my Xbox 360 games. I just finished The Darkness 2, which I bought maybe 2 or 3 years ago, if not more. So it's going to be the same thing. Like, I'm going to be late on the Xbox One once I purchase it, which I am waiting for a... they released the 1 terabyte, so I'm waiting for a little bit of a price drop on that, and for the backwards compatibility to come out, see how that works out, because I'm not going on their promise that it's coming out, it's going to work. You know, I'm going to make sure that everything's fine with it, it works, and then I'll get it from there. But yeah, I just felt that it was a good time to talk about it, especially that I wasn't able to necessarily do that a bit earlier, like I said, because of renovations and my room not being done, and now everything's changed. Plus, I'll be moving soon, I guess, so that'll be a bit of a money hindrance, but I'll still save up for the one. Because they do have some pretty good deals. I saw quite a few good deals recently. It might just be in my locale, but regardless, there's always some good stuff from stores competing with each other and whatnot. So competition is good for this market. Like, it's really good. The only thing that's bothering me is I saw a couple games with like $80 price marks, and that's just like really depressing to see that our game prices are going up and not necessarily because of quality or anything, just because it's competition, and they're adding useless things in the games, like, you know, maybe a bit of cheap DLC that isn't really, I don't know, good for anything. And just because it's an Xbox One game, it costs more than an Xbox game, although it may not necessarily cost more to produce or whatnot. So that's a little disappointing, because I like the $60 price point. I felt it was high. It's expensive to buy a game. It's a really expensive hobby. I mean, buying a full price game is basically like going to like a restaurant and going to see a movie after. Like, you know, you're paying 30 or 40 bucks for that night. Well, with a game, if you're paying $60, you know, you want it to be a night, but you expect something more than that. So for something that would just be like a 5-6 hour game, like paying something like 80 bucks is just ridiculous. 60 bucks was kind of ridiculous enough, but we all got used to it. So just jacking the price up like that makes it a bit difficult to accept, a little hard to swallow. But if you're giving me quality and something better, then I'm more accepting with paying that amount, with spending that much for a quality like art product, you know. Like so many games that I still play now that I may have bought years ago. My perfect example is always the Dark Souls series. Like, I bought Dark Souls 1 when that came out, and I'm still playing it today. So I mean, I've put in hundreds and hundreds of hours. Though the great multiplayer games also do that. You know, you can put in a bunch of hours, thousands of hours into multiplayer games, and that you're getting, you know, your worth. But for a game that you're just gonna play a few hours of, and then, you know, maybe you don't like it, or maybe it just, that's the length of the game, it's a lot. It's really a lot. And for especially children, or, you know, younger, you guys, the younger viewers and whatnot, 80 bucks is a lot. Like, you may be saving up for a game on allowance, which might be something like 20 bucks a week or something like that, and, you know, you wait a whole month until you get a game, and it's too much. It doesn't allow us to really buy a lot of games. It allows us to buy a couple games we want, and we don't get to play the other ones. We miss out on it completely. And that's why I don't trade in games. I don't really like doing that. You don't get the value for what you paid for in the beginning. But I buy a lot of used games, and I buy like AAA titles a couple years after they've been released that I missed and whatnot. And I like doing that because you can get a really good game for like 15 bucks that you're gonna spend a good chunk of time on, and that's gonna be really enjoyable, and, you know, something completely new or different that you haven't played before. So that's something that's good. You're just really failing at Meat Boy. I can see in the corner of my eye that Meat Boy is just going into that lava over and over again. But yeah, so anyways, I'm just excited for backwards compatibility and excited for these new changes, that Xbox is finally doing something right. Not that they didn't, but just it seems to be like a big pivotal, like, you know, turning point for Xbox. So I can't wait for that. And I just figured I'd share my thoughts. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Good luck.